Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another one of my Dota 2 hero guides. Today we're going to be taking a look at Keeper of the Light. So Keeper of the Light, or Kotl as it's sometimes called, I'll probably interchange both those names as we go through this guide, is a very interesting and unique hero. This hero was played as a support for a very long time, but actually now it's recently transitioned to more of a mid hero. It's very, very popular in mid, and that's because the skills that this hero has, they have kind of stayed very similar, but they've been tweaked, changed. They've, been put into the shard, they've been put into his ultimate, they've just kind of been worked around, and now they've kind of settled at this point where this hero is almost more of a mid that can be played support, where before it was mostly a support that people were trying to make work as a core. So we're going to be focusing on the mid version of Kotl in this guide because I think that really kind of sum up, it can make you really understand how to use this hero. And then when you play the support version, it's almost the same thing. You just get a little bit less farm. You put yourself in vulnerable positions to clear waves. And then you honestly just, instead of focusing on overwhelming magic damage, you focus on trying to get an Ags so that you can have overwhelming team fight control. And so that's a little bit of a hint into how do we think about Kotl and what are the good aspects of Kotl. He kind of has two things. The first thing, especially as a core from mid, is you just have overwhelming magic damage. This hero does kind of more magic damage than almost any hero in the game, especially early. It's almost like you can think about this hero like a Zeus. It's just a Zeus that clears waves even better. Also clears stacks really well. This hero does, farm so quickly, it's almost impossible to stop this hero from farming. He runs around the map at very, very high move speed. He clears waves ultra fast, and then you can get a ton of magic damage, burst damage, and then you just blow people up. You can melt people. For the first 20 minutes of the game, you can pretty much just kill anyone full to zero if they don't have like a built-in BKB or some kind of ability that allows them to get out from, your spells, basically out from under your spells. So that's what you want to be focusing on with this hero, is just snowballing the game with that magic damage. Now, the weakness of the hero is that he's squishy. He's an intelligence core. He has low HP, low armor. If you can get on top of him with some kind of mobility spells, or you can stun him, or you're out of position, you can be punished hard. And then if you're punished, if you die, 1, 2, even 3, 4 times especially, you're probably going to lose the game. You might lose the game because this hero is all about snowballing. It's all about overwhelming magic damage. It's all about, just pressuring, and not letting the enemy team farm or survive. Anytime they show, you just go right there, and then you kill them full to zero with your insane magic damage. So that's kind of how to think about the hero in general. And then from the support position, you're sort of doing the same thing, except you're not really focusing on overwhelming magic damage. You're focusing on making space, farming really well, because as a support, this hero as a support farms faster than pretty much any other support in the game. It's very, very good. So you can make a lot of space, clear waves, be very annoying for the enemy, and then have a lot of team fight control with your Ags as well. So that's how to think about Keeper of the Light. Now let's jump in and take a look at his abilities. So now that we understand Kotl in general, we can take a look at his abilities and see how he's able to be that really fast, really good farmer, really high magic damage hero like I talked about. So first, we're going to take a look at the Illuminate spell, his Q spell, and this is his main spell. This is kind of what the hero is built around. It's really what is the central focus of the hero. This is what allows him to lane, to farm stacks, to push waves, to deal damage, and these kinds of things as well. It's his really focal point of the hero. So what this does is it basically is a spell that you point in a direction, you channel it for about 3 seconds, and then it releases a bunch of horses and a pretty big AoE. You can see the AoE there at the green line at the end. And they travel for a very long distance, and they hit anything on its path, and they do a lot of damage. So you can see the axe here does a significant amount of damage. And that's kind of all the spell does. But you can see how this is very good for farming, clearing waves, farming stacks, doing damage to enemies. We can see that that did a significant amount of damage. Obviously, the axe doesn't have any items, but he is level 14. He has 1600 HP, these kinds of things. Very, very important. That's Illuminate. It's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Now, I will say that basically when you're channeling, you can stop the channeling by moving. At least I can, because I don't have the channel requires hold stop. It's a setting where you would have to press stop to stop your channeling. I don't really have that selected. You can have it. It just depends. But basically, if I'm just doing this, I can move to cancel it, because you are putting yourself in a vulnerable position. But when you do cancel it early, it does less damage. So just keep that in mind. It's going to do less damage when you cancel it. The other thing you can do is you can also press in a direction and just press Q again, and it will cancel it in the same way, just like moving. So just keep that in mind. So that's Illuminate. It's pretty straightforward, but it does a good amount of damage. It's his focal point of the hero, and that's what you're going to be having to, focus your attention around, because it is a little bit of a skill shot, because you do have to kind of aim it and then you have to hit them 3 seconds later. So it's one of those things you can't just aim it right at them now, because they know that it's coming, because then they can just run away. They can run out of the AoE. So that's very important. So it is a little bit of a skill shot in that way. But what helps with the skill shot to make it a little bit better is Solar Bind. So Solar Bind is an ability. You just press it on the enemy, and they get this debuff. And then when they're running, as they run away or as they move more, they get really, really slow. So we can see their axe is just super, super slow. So it's very hard to get out of the way of the Illuminate that you're going to be charging up. But the other thing it does is also it amps up the magic damage. So we can see here, I casted that on him, and now I'm using that. And there we go, half his health in damage. That's kind of a lot of damage there with that magic resistance reduction. It doesn't actually amp up magic damage on them. It just reduces their magic resistance, which is kind of the same thing. But just a little bit of different of how it works, but still. So it's very, very good. That's how you can even do more damage. There's also a little bit of a control spell. It can be very annoying if they don't have mobility or any way to dispel this ability when you cast it on them, especially early game. It just kind of destroys supports. So that's Solar Bind. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but very good for amping up your magic damage. Next is Chakra Magic. So Chakra Magic is actually a straightforward spell. We'll put free spells off, and I will channel this Illuminate here, full duration. And we'll do a ton of damage to axe. We see it goes on cooldown a little bit there, but then I can use Chakra Magic, and it actually makes my Illuminate immediately ready, which is really good. So it reduces the cooldown of your spell, which is really cool. And then it also gives you mana as well. So basically, you're going to be spamming spells. You're going to be spamming Illuminate, and you're also going to be leveling this up so you can give yourself mana and also spam it even more. So it's kind of just this thing that allows you to cast so many spells with this ability. The other thing is you can use this ability as well with other heroes. You can cast this on other heroes to give them more mana and reduce their ability cooldown. This is really good with heroes, like I said, like Bristleback or other heroes that want to spam spells that have relatively, not 2-second cooldown spells, but that is something like Bristleback can. But anything that's a pretty short cooldown, you can just like cast this on them. They use it once, they can immediately use it again. It's very, very good. So keep that in mind. That's the main way to use Chakra Magic. It's all kind of like amping up his Illuminate spell and also helping your allies as well do more damage or have mana, these kinds of things as well. So you can see how this hero, he can help himself from the mid lane if he's a core, but he can also help his allies and amp up what they're supposed to do as well. So those are all of his main abilities, and it looks like, Kotl has 4 abilities like normal, but his ultimate's actually very interesting. It actually gives him some extra abilities, basically. So you click this, and he just turns into like a golden form. It's called like ethereal form, or or luminescent or whatever. Ethereal form is actually when you have E-Blade. But yeah, it's like a luminescent thing. He just looks a little bit different. And now the big difference is, one, you can cast Illuminate without actually having to commit your hero, which is really, really good. You can basically do the same thing as normal, where you can press Q again to cancel it, which is awesome. And the other thing is you also get a new ability called Blinding Light. So this is a very good ability for control as well as your W. So basically what happens is you press it in an AoE, and then it like pushes everybody around kind of from the center. So we can see if I press it here, the axe will be pushed away from me, which is not usually what I want to do unless I'm trying to like run away from people. What you usually want to do is kind of press them back towards you so that you can hit your spells and these kinds of things and do more damage to them. That's usually how you're going to be using it. When combined with Solar Bind, obviously you can see how it can be very, very hard for enemies to get away. The other thing that it does is it also causes anybody hit by it to have a 40% mischance, which is very important because, obviously if you're using this on a carry or someone that wants to right click you before they have BKB, before they have Manta, that's very, very good. 40% mischance, it's almost like it might as well be 100, because if you have 40% mischance, they don't want to really go on you. They don't want to try to right click you because they're missing almost half the right click. So it's really not worth it. It's really not good for them to do that. So it's very, very good as a defensive spell as well. So that is Blinding Light. That's his ultimate. The only other thing that the ultimate does that's worth noting is basically, I guess it gives you move speed, which is really important. This hero is just insanely fast in general, but obviously with this it's even better. But it also heals your allies when you use Illuminate. So the Illuminate doesn't just damage enemies, it also heals allies. So this is very, very good to cast this ultimate, to use your Illuminate, to heal allies when you're pushing high ground, these kinds of things. It makes, the hero versatile in that way as well, because now, everybody's taking damage from the tower, whatever it is, you can just spam this and, they don't have to care about that. So not only are they getting healed, they're getting mana, all this kind of stuff. Very good. Not only if you're a support, but also if you're a core, you can do the same exact thing. So those are all of Kotl's normal abilities. And you can see, obviously, there's 4 here. When you click Alt, you get another one. But his Ags and his Shard also give him extra abilities. So first, the Ags is a very, very good ability. It's even extra control because you really don't have any stuns. You just have the slow, then you have the ultimate Blinding Light. These kind of like pseudo control because they're not stuns. They can be dispelled pretty easily. But this one is a really, really good big team fight ultimate. So this is Will-O-Wisp. You cast this in an area and it creates this big like Will-O-Wisp that basically sucks enemies in. They can try to run away, but then every few seconds it basically sucks them in. Now it's basically like a little orb that they can click, and it takes a few clicks to delete it or to kill it, but it's just one of those things that if they're trying to kill that and they're getting sucked in, it's like, it's not really a stun because they can still click it while they are being sucked in, but it's very hard for them to get away. So it's another one of those like pseudo control things. It's not like a black hole, it's not like Chronosphere. They're not really stunned, but it is very good for control and team fights. You're usually going to be getting this more so on the support version of this hero because that just helps, you know, your team and everything do the damage, whereas you usually want to be focusing more on damage, like Dagon, like just control with Scythe, or like Kaya Sange, Ethereal Blade, these kinds of things. These are the items that you're usually going to be wanting to get on core Kotl, but Ags is very, very good as well, even later into the game as a core Kotl. And then the other one is Ags Shard. This also gives you another ability called Recall, but this ability is only available when you click your ultimate. So now we see he has another ability again. Basically, Recall is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We'll make an ally here. Basically what it is, it's kind of like a little mini IO spell, where you, like a relocate. Basically, you can just click it on an enemy, and then after a few seconds, they're teleported to you. So keep that in mind. It's very good, but if they get clicked by an enemy, it actually cancels the ability. So it's like one of those things that usually it's like someone TP's home and then you click it on them and then they come back with full mana, refill their bottle, all those kinds of things. Or somebody's, you know, split pushing on the other side of the map, the enemy's not there, you want them to come push, you click it on them, but it's still a really good spell for map control, for getting teammates with you. Maybe you're ganking, maybe you're mid Kotl, you have the shard, you're ganking, you bring someone with you even though they just showed on the other side of the map. It's very high skill, very high coordination stuff with that ability. But you can see this here gets pretty complicated. It seems pretty straightforward at first, but then you get the Ags, you get the shard, you press your ultimate. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot to consider with this hero. But overall, you know, just in its baseline, it's pretty simple. Does a lot of magic damage, amps those things up, and can just blow people up in the beginning of the game. So that's Kotl. Those are his abilities. Now let's jump in and see how he's played. So now we're jumping into a replay here of BZN playing Keeper of the Light mid, and basically it's really straightforward and simple actually to play Kotl mid. Essentially what you do is you first wave, click the enemy range creep 2 or 3 times, pretty much 3 times, to make sure that it's not in deny range, but you can basically clear it with a full channeled illuminate. And all you have to do is make sure that the enemy that you're up against doesn't have some kind of stun, because obviously you're sitting there for 3 seconds to make sure that you can get the full damage so that you can secure that range creep. And that's pretty much what you're going to be doing for the duration of the lane. So now that he's secured his level 2, he's going to restore his mana by leveling up the chakra magic. And then it's honestly just rinse and repeat. So I can just speed up here. It's pretty simple. He clicks the enemy range creep a couple times, channels his illuminate to clear the wave, and he gets 3 last hits with that illuminate and pushes the wave in. Then he kind of spends some time denying a little bit. And this is just what he's going to be doing for like every wave. So we just see he immediately clicks the range creep. He actually stops there for a second because he misses a few times to get the last hit. So you want to make sure you're still securing the other last hits with your right click. Just make sure you're doing that because you don't want to get denied. You want to be able to secure your level 2. Then look at what he's doing. He blasts the small camp. He used his illuminate to stack the camp and his right click to stack the other camp. And he's just stacking for himself. This is exactly what you want to be doing as a Kotl. And you can see now that he has level 2 illuminate, the range creep only needs 1 hit to actually allow him to clear the wave with his illuminate. And so, you know, a few more levels and he can pretty much clear the entire wave with just illuminate, which is really, really good, especially early on before the creeps get a lot of extra health as, you know, time goes on, these kinds of things. Now you do need to be careful, as we see here against the mid Winter Wyvern, is he's taking a ton of damage because this hero is pretty squishy. So just make sure that you're not putting yourself in a too vulnerable of a position if you're against a very aggressive mid laner, like anything like a Huskar or Viper, these kinds of things. You just got to be a little bit careful because your main thing that you want to be doing is, like we're seeing, pushing the wave, clearing the wave, pushing it out, and just spending as little time as possible dealing with the enemy mid. You just want to be stacking for yourself, clearing stacks, clearing the small camp, and anything like that. And taking as little damage as possible. You're also not going to be buying bottle usually as this hero because you do just have your chakra magic. So you're just going to get the runes, but you're not actually going to bottle them. And we can see he's just dealing with the Winter Wyvern like barely at all. He only had to deal with the Winter Wyvern like a little bit when he was taking some harass damage, and you can see he like triple stacked those camps in there. So honestly, that's like the first 5 minutes for Kotl. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It's a very, very easy laning stage with this hero. So I skipped ahead a little bit here, and basically for the last couple minutes, once you hit like level 6, around the 6-7 minute mark, that's when you're going to want to transition to going into the jungle and clearing stacks, because obviously you're going to have your Q maxed out, you have the stacks there to clear, and that's when you're going to want to just push the wave out and then go into the jungle, clear those stacks you made. He also rotated top to clear a big camp stack, that's where he came from. And then basically, once you hit this level 10 timing, and that's when he has Boots of Travel, he's going first so he can beat all around the map, and he gets 1 point in his Solar Bind. This is when he starts getting really aggressive. He also did go for the Urn of Shadows here as well, but basically, once you get that 1 point in the Solar Bind, you have a little bit of control and you have that extra amped up damage that now you can just kind of play around the entire map and go aggressive, get aggressive for kills. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out for them. They just barely don't kill the Ursa. Actually, they do end up killing the Ursa because the Primal Beast goes in there. But you can see, he just does insane, overwhelming damage. So as long as he's not getting gone on, as long as they're not able to aggressively just, like, you know, stun him full to 0 and use all their spells on him, he can kind of stay in the back and use his spells to get a lot of damage. They end up winning fights and these kinds of things. And as long as you have spells like Spear, especially, like Mars, Spear, you have Primal Beast Ultimate, you have Pudge Ultimate, you have the Missile from Gyro, like there's stuns on every single one of the other heroes in the team, and that's really, really good for Kotl because you're going to be able to dish out tons of damage. And that's why you're usually also going to be going for this Boots of Travel, so you can be everywhere all the time, just dealing tons of damage. And then when you're not fighting, when you're not pressuring, when they're dead or something, then you just need to push out waves. Push out mid wave, push out top wave, get aggressive, be super aggressive while also farming at the same time. And that's just what you're going to be doing on Kotl, transitioning between farming and being aggressive depending on what's happening on the map. So now I fast forwarded here to about 13 minutes. And the big thing I wanted to show you here, I'll just fast forward to 2 times speed, is that, one, you can clear waves really, really well with this hero. So basically you can just TP to a lane that no one really wants to be in, like the bot lane here, just pushes that out without having to commit to anything really, because then you can just immediately go and join the team fight. And the big part of this hero is not only are you super fast, you do overwhelming magical damage, especially early on. This is 15 minutes. Nobody can deal with the magic damage coming out from the Q here, along with the Solar Bind. But with the nature of your spells, your ultimate is really the only spell that has a long cooldown. And it's not that long. It's only like 65 seconds. So a minute and 5 seconds, it's like nothing. So this hero can just fight constantly, because we can see, as long as you don't have low health, you're constantly max mana. You can just spam your spells, spam your Illuminate, spam everything. And this team fight, like, obviously they're taking the mid tower, but, I mean, I started this clip like a minute or so ago, and they've kind of just been non-stop fighting ever since. Like, they're just running into the enemy team over and over and over again because he's giving unlimited mana to himself, to his allies. He's just running around at max movement speed. You see he's used his ultimate twice already. And this is a great example of how you can use your ultimate with Blinding Light, Solar Bind, and everything to push people back in, all this kind of stuff. We saw he used Blinding Light to push the Ursa back in with Solar Bind as well to make sure he can't get away, and they basically just team wiped the team. I think over the last minute and a half that we've been watching, they killed like 8 people. So this is just what this hero can do, and we can see he's still full health. He's like over half mana. It's just ridiculous what this hero can do. He's just constantly on map, constantly present. Like, the only time you should be farming jungle after, like, the first 8 minutes or so is when, you know, there's nothing else to do. So right here, everybody respawned on the enemy. All the waves are pushed in, except for bottom, which nobody wants to go to. And now he's taking some time to clear jungle. Otherwise, he's going to be constantly fighting. As soon as he sees an opportunity to go fight, and his, you know, his teammates' spells are off cooldown, where they can use arena, all these kinds of things, it's fight time. This hero is always fight ready. And so against any lineup that has long cooldowns, they're absolutely insane with this hero. And even their lineup doesn't really have that many cooldowns that you need to worry about. I mean, Ursa's a relatively low cooldown hero. You know, all of these heroes have generally low cooldowns, but still, he's just so powerful, so fight ready that it's hard for the enemy to deal with him, as we see him feed. But hey, Winter Wyvern ult, what can you do? What can you do? A little bit of a dive there, but still, this hero is just so fight ready, very, very good. That's what you want to be doing and focusing on with this hero. Okay, so I fast forwarded to about 21 minutes. First thing I want to show you here is, obviously, look at this net worth. This is absolutely insane. This is what you can do in pretty much every game with Kotl. It's ridiculous how fast you can farm this hero. But also, look at the mini-map. So they pushed in the mid wave. They haven't taken that mid tier 2, but he kind of cut it really right there because they didn't have Wyvern. He wasn't really scared. He immediately TP's top, and this kind of sequence is what I want to show you and how good this hero can be at pressuring the map. So he clears top wave while also farming the jungle, and he pretty much just pushes in top. His team is all mid and bottom. He clears this last wave here to make sure that top is pushing in. Then he makes sure that bottom is pushing in. And then he sees that his team is fighting bottom, so he goes bottom. And this is exactly what you want to be doing as Kotl. Basically, you want to allow your team to group up as 4, play aggressive, and then you want to join them with your Boots of Travel after clearing all waves. Like, he cleared mid and top, like 3 waves top, 1 wave mid, came bottom, participated in the fight, they got 3 kills. And then look exactly what he does after this. So the Ursa was bottom. He sees the Ursa on the top wave. So not only did they kill the Marcy mid, who was just probably griefing, but he sees that the Ursa's top, and he just runs after the Ursa. What kind of, like, it just seems insane, but this Ursa literally has to be scared and TP out because, one, he has the blinding light to cause mischance, and he also has E-Blade and all these spells. Like, Ursa just can't even man-fight this guy at 23 minutes. He has 17k net worth. It's absolutely insane. He has a full Octarine core. It's ridiculous what this hero can get because of the farm, and then you just want to be running around the map, just pretty much not letting the enemy ever do anything they want. They're not allowed to farm. They're not allowed to go anywhere because your team's there or you're TPing in. It's just ridiculous what this hero can do. We can see how active he is. He never has, like, a dull moment. There's never any downtime. It's always one lane to the next lane to the next lane, and the only time he's ever farming jungle is like in between the creep camps, or in between the lanes that he's killing, in between the people that he's killing on the way to killing other people. Like, it's just really, really good map movement. It's all about the map movement. And honestly, this is probably just the last. I think they're just crushing the game. It's going to be over after this. They have a 20k lead, 46-17. The big thing to realize, though, is that Kotl is kind of a squishy hero that can get killed very easily if they get on top of him, so you do need to be very careful. Especially of blowing leads. Like, when you have an 18,500 net worth, if you die, like, you're giving away a ton of gold. So he's just, you know, honestly playing with them, toying with them. He gets out. But that's one thing, is you don't want to die. We saw him die once or twice in the early game. He has, I think, 3 deaths here. But, like, once you get this much gold lead, you do need to be very careful because you can obviously swing the... Despite having 48-18 lead, like, if he feeds, the enemy could come back. So it is something you need to be careful of, but otherwise you can just put so much pressure on the enemy. And really, the hero's relatively simple if you think about it. I mean, his spells aren't that hard. Obviously, there's a little bit of like a skill shot aspect to it where you're going to hit Blinding Light, Solar Bind, Illuminate. Like, you need to hit all your spells. You need to practice doing that. But otherwise, besides that, once you get good at practicing hitting your spells, then you can kind of play with heroes a lot, like we saw in that top lane there where they were just chasing him around. They couldn't catch him. He's super fast. Otherwise, it's largely a map control game. Once you learn how to understand how to use his spells, then it's very, very much map control farming, understanding what to do in that way. And then I think anybody can get pretty good with this hero. It's not very hard, despite all the damage it's doing, despite him being so mobile and hard to catch and farming so quickly. He's really not a complicated hero. So that is my Keeper of the Light guide. I hope everybody enjoyed that and learned how to play this very, very kind of annoying hero. I know a lot of people are very annoyed with this hero, so maybe people will be mad that I made this guide for them. But in any case, that's Keeper of the Light. I hope all of you guys enjoyed that guide. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all of those kinds of things. As always, join the Discord if you haven't already to just talk to me and everybody who's following the channel on these kinds of things. If you want, you can go to Patreon if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. If you like these videos, consider supporting me there. If you want coaching, I also offer coaching through the Patreon as well. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.